Alright, give me a minute. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves. But not too loud or I'll get distracted.
Yep.
Okay, that's enough. Stop talking. Maybe I was a little premature. French Exit by John Wayne Communale. I didn't always used to know what a French exit was, but when I found out, I thought it was one of the greatest things ever. A French exit, as it was explained to me, is when you leave a party or gathering without saying goodbye to anyone or managing to be seen. It was how I imagined Batman and Dracula left every party they'd ever gone to. Okay, you can clap, but I really own a cape. I know it sounds kind of dickish, but it can take quite a bit of time to circulate through everyone to say you're leaving, followed by the explanation that you have to work early, or you're going to another party, or you left your oven on. With a French exit, there's none of this kind of thing. No one can feel snubbed because you didn't say goodbye to them, as long as you don't say goodbye to anyone. It's really just a more efficient way to leave a party when you think about it. I was recently at a party where I was in the company of the person who had been my mentor, so to speak, in the ways of the French exit. The Reverend Butter. I'm going to leave the hat on. I had been talking to his wife, Sarah, and him for a good deal of the evening when I ended our conversation by announcing that I would be making a French exit quite soon. Hey, us too, brother, said the Reverend. Well, let's just make one together, I replied. We all agreed and casually headed for the front door where the smokers were coming and going, so no one thought anything of us going outside. Once on the porch, we nodded casually to a small group of people smoking Pall Malls while debating the relevance the first Green Lantern movie will have on any upcoming Justice League film. They were far too engaged to notice us slink off into the shadows. Now, one thing I need to mention is that the location of this party was surrounded by a 9-foot wrought iron fence complete with spiked posts. To enter the premises, a code was required at the gate, but to leave, you merely approached in your car and the gate swung open, granting you freedom to the outside world. The thing about this was we had parked our cars at a bar down the street and walked because this was a surprise party, so naturally, to preserve the integrity of the surprise itself, our cars could not be seen. We searched around the gate to see if there was some kind of manual relief, but we found nothing. We all tried standing in front of the gate and jumping in unison to trigger the mechanism in the opening. But to no avail. None of us wanted to go back inside to get someone to let us out because that would totally nullify the entire French exit and prompt even more time-consuming explanation on our part. No, we were going to have to figure out a way ourselves. Where was I? It didn't take long for us to realize that we had tried nothing and were all out of ideas when I came up with a brilliant and rather obvious plan. I was gonna jump the fence. The box that contained the automatic gates motor was about 2.5 feet tall and located right up against the towering iron bars. I hopped on the box and surveyed the scene to figure out the easiest way to do this. Be careful, brother, said Butter. Those spikes are sharp. I've seen people fuck their hands up on shit like that before, brother. Yes, please be careful, echoed Sarah. I carefully grabbed between two of the sharp points and slowly pulled myself up, somehow being able to negotiate my legs around so that my feet could find two spike-free areas to rest on. A moment later, I was standing on atop the 9-foot fence, balanced on 2 inches of iron with both feet flanked by razor-sharp spikes. I should probably also bring up the fact that I consumed more than a few beers, amongst other substances. And maybe this wasn't the best plan after all. As I teetered like an amateur tightrope walker, I remember thinking how much higher it looked from my current vantage point compared to how it seemed from the ground. To my left was the soft grass-covered ground, while just to my right was the hard and unforgiving cement of the driveway. Don't try to lower yourself down, brother, said Butter, as if reading my mind. You're gonna have to jump straight out and land in the grass. That's your best bet. Yep, I said while staring down at the grass that I hoped would be where I landed. There was no use in putting it off, so I took off a deep breath and jumped out from the fence, aiming for the grass. It took less than a second for me to realize that my plan had gone pear-shaped. When I pushed myself off, I led with my right foot, expecting my left to follow, where I would then fall to the ground, land on my feet, and execute a perfect tuck and roll to reduce the impact of my legs. My right foot didn't get too far from the fence because it became apparent that my left foot was not following suit. It had become wedged between the two pointy razor spikes that had been on either side of it. The jolt changed my trajectory, and I suddenly found myself going headfirst into the ground. One of the spikes tore down the side of my leather dress shoe I was wearing, sending a searing pain through my foot. But this was the least of my worries. In the final moments of my fall, I managed to pull my head back to keep myself from face-planting on the grass-covered earth that was not quite as soft as I had hoped. My chest hit the ground first, and my head snapped forward, banging hard against the compacted dirt. Everything went black, but only for a few seconds. I think. The impact of my chest hitting the ground had knocked the wind out of me so hard that every muscle tightened and cramped, giving me a full-body Charlie horse. I gasped for breath that wouldn't come as my consciousness flickered in and out like a television with poor reception until I became aware that Butter and Sarah were trying to talk to me through the fence. "Oh my Lord, are you okay? Breathe! Breathe!" said Sarah, trying to hide the panic in her voice. "You've got to breathe, please. Are you okay? Are you okay?" Wrong glasses. "He's okay," said Butter in a cool and relaxed tone that I imagined was to keep them both calm as they stood behind the fence, unable to help their friend, who was only a few feet away, twisted up like a contortionist's finale gone awry. "You just got the wind knocked out of him, that's all. He'll be all right. Right? You're good, right, brother?" They continued to console me as I desperately tried to loosen my muscles and suck in some air, but my body was in full-on revolt against my will. After almost a full minute of struggling, I was finally able to hold my hand out and give a thumbs up, sending Butter and Sarah into a fit of relief-inspired laughter. The air started to come, and I was loosening up enough to move again. I forced myself to stand as my entire torso screamed with pain from the impact, mixed with spasm after spasm. I stood with my hands on my knees until I could breathe deeply again, then made my way over to the keypad to open the gate. "Are you okay, brother?" Butter asked as the gate slowly slid aside. Ugh, say that 5 times fast. Yeah, I gasped, punching the code on the keypad. "Please tell me you filmed that." Of course they didn't. And we laughed mostly out of relief as we walked down the street to the bar for a drink to celebrate that I didn't die. In fact, It's like 14 minutes long. In fact, my only visible injury was from where the spike had caught my foot. It tore through the leather of my shoe all the way down to the sole, leaving a deep gash in the side of my foot. Nothing some soap, water, and a little Neosporin can handle, and despite the loss of my shoe, I was glad it took the brunt of the damage and not my head. I walked away that night a little sore, but no worse for the wear. However, the most important thing was that I was able to preserve the integrity of the French exit, living to fight another day. Yep. Epilogue! A few days later, I told my friends who were having the party this story, and we all had a much-deserved laugh at my expense. When the laughter subsided, my buddy Dan spoke up. "You know," he said, "if you would have walked a little way down, there's an opening in the fence that all of you could have fit through. No climbing, jumping, or falling necessary." "Huh," I said, mulling over the memory of my near-death experience. "That's cool, but it sounds like a real pussy way to make a French exit, you know?"